We're going to talk about what's happening up there between them ears. Let me tell you something. Quick story. 1997, I made my first Bassmaster Classic. I'm getting ready. At that time, I was sponsored by a Dodge dealership in Benton, Arkansas. A guy by the name of Steve Landers. Steve, at that time, he was the world's largest Dodge dealership. Sold more Dodge vehicles out of that one single dealership than anybody in the world. He was a great guy. He'd let you know it. Trust me. But the one thing that he did know how to do was sell cars. And he knew one other thing, that there wasn't nobody on the planet that could beat him because he worked hard. I go into his office. I sit down. Mr. Landers, how are you doing, son? You're going to your first Bassmaster Classic. Congratulations. And we start making small talk. Go on there a little bit. He goes, well, dang, dude. He goes, who you think's the best out there? You're going to compete against a bunch of good ones. Who you think's the best? Names like Rick Clunn, Kevin Van Dam, George Cochran, Larry Nixon. I was just spewing them out to him. He said, yeah. He said, I know all those boys. He goes, now let me ask you one thing. He goes, why are you going to fish this classic? I'm going to fish. I qualified. I'm going to fish it. And he goes, why are you wasting your time back in your boat in the water if you think they're the best? And let me tell you something. I was like, oh, wow. Good point. Well taken. Well, I had me about an 8-hour drive that day, and the whole time I was like, dang, dude, you just as good as they are. They ain't no doubt. You qualified. They qualified the same way I did. Yeah. I deserve to be there. I'm as good as they are. I beat them. I beat every one of them at least once or twice this year, I know. Long story short, I go to the Classic. After the first day, I'm in second place. Second day, I'm in second place. Third day, we fall just a little bit short. I can promise you guys, had I not sat down there and talked to Steve that day, I would have got caught up in the limelight, got caught up in the Classic, would have thought that Rick Clunn, Van Dam, George Cochran, Larry Nixon, they put their pants on way different than I did at the time. And I was like, no, they really don't. They put them on just like each and every one of us do. One leg at a time, unless you're really talented and you jump off the bed and you hit 2 in the hole at the time. Most times you're going to miss because that don't work. Everybody puts their pants on just like you do. And if you're going to a tournament thinking that you're not the best, you might as well save your money. Unless you just like the camaraderie, unless you just like to hang out with your buddies and just shoot the bull and you're there for a different reason. Technically, I'm not there for a reason. I'm not there to make friends. You can be my friend off the water. You're my enemy while we're on the water. And I just have to approach it in a different way. You really do. And if you don't think you're the best on that particular day, I don't care if it's selling cars. It doesn't matter what you do. Selling mattresses. The little man on the basketball team. I was 5'1" when I was in the 10th grade. And I played against some boys that were big old grown men at the time. But I didn't really think they were any better than I was. They were quicker. They could jump higher. They could do all that good stuff. I just never thought that they were any better than I was. But for one moment, I thought Rick Clunn, I thought George Cochran, I thought Larry Nixon, I thought these other boys were better than I was. And Mr. Landers just told me, he said, man, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time if you back that boat in the water, not thinking that you can't beat them. And 28 years later, here I sit. I guess 28, I'm not very good with math, but I'm pretty close to it. I've never had another job in 28 years. I was fortunate enough to have several successes. I won my first Bassmaster tournament in '98. It was called the Top 150, and Kmart Top 150. And you know, I haven't ever gone back to a regular day job.